Welcome, everyone, to episode 113 of Barely Educated. As always, I am Mark Jansen, joined by my co-host, Chris Teichler. Chris, I would say how are you, but since we're here to preview an actual real football game, the answer better be that you're good.
I'm doing very well. It was so nice to watch real football last night.
A lot of news. Mainly, your boy and the Bengals, Carson Palmer,
Shut up!
signed his big extension. No,
Oh,
Joe Burrow.
my
I'm
goodness.
just never going to let you live that one down. And neither is
I
former
get it.
student Tim in the group chat.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Former student, you're not quite dead to me, but almost.
He's doing the Lord's work.
I am wounded.
Great. Yeah.
Shut up, Tim.
No, I deserve it. I deserve all that heat.
It's just
fine.
a good moment.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
So yeah, and then Bosa got his deal.
Yes, he did. Is Chris Jones going to get his deal?
Chris Jones had a good day, right? Like his team didn't win without him. His other big stud lineman in a contract squabble got a record deal. A little bit different position, but close enough.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't really blame the Chiefs defense for that one.
Boy,
So-
we may as well dive in and talk about that. Yeah.
Yeah, let's start there because I think there's application for Bears fans too.
Ooh, yes.
And I guess I don't want to spend too long on this game. One,
Yeah.
the Lions are pretty good.
Yes, they are.
They're really good up front on both sides of the ball. Well, their O-line's really good, and the D-line has a couple potential studs. I don't know if it's that deep, but I don't know that we can count on the Lions to Lions all over themselves unless they get hurt. Like, I know they had the gambling thing and all, but Jameson Williams hasn't proven anything anyway, and Amon-Ra St. Brown's great. Goff doesn't make mistakes. He's not very aggressive, but they went into Arrowhead and beat the Chiefs. That's got to be your division favorite going into the season, according to most people. And then they just stole the game that
Yep.
the rest of the division will probably lose.
Yep. What do you think about Mike Tirico saying, well, of course, there's an asterisk by this one? Like, oh, my.
Why?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
yeah, there were injuries, but that's what happens in the league.
Yeah, it was
I
pretty
tend to think
classless,
most of the
I
time
thought.
it evens out.
Yeah.
But
I
there
thought-
are some years where it's like, holy cow, everyone's hurt on the same position group and you can't recover. That's, it's not the Lions' fault that the Chiefs decided to have no wide receiver depth. And
Yep.
after their real wide receiver one, who happens to be called a tight end, missed the game. But that's where the Bears thing comes in.
Yes.
Look at the great Patrick Mahomes, who is really legitimately off to the greatest start in football history for the first 5 years of a quarterback's career.
Right. Yes.
Has that stat line. Number one, stop looking at just the stat line.
Yes,
Watch
please.
the games because he made a bunch of dimes that they dropped. And then number two,
Eye
you
test,
have to
baby.
have playmakers no matter how good you are at quarterback. He had
That's
at
right.
least, I think it was 3 throws, that final drive that they dropped that would have put him in field goal position.
Mm-hmm.
To say nothing of Kadarius Toney's hilarious
Ooh.
pick six.
Oh, and you shared the freeze frame on Twitter of where the ball was. It hit him right in the hands. It was beautiful, beautiful throw, perfect throw. Can't ask
Looking at
for
that
more.
box score, you would not know that Mahomes played a great game, but he did.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
A couple of the ones that are just over the reach of the defender, he drops them in and they drop. Tony had another bad drop at the end. He played great, and you would never know it looking at the stats.
Yep.
More to the point, all the people dumping on Fields last year, that's essentially the same wide receiver core, right?
Yeah.
Not NFL caliber with Kelsey hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying Fields is Mahomes, certainly not. But my point
No.
is, even Mahomes' his stats are going to look pedestrian when no one makes a play for him.
Yep, that's right.
So obviously, anyone else, it's going to be even worse because he's better than everyone else, and even he needed some help.
Yeah, and I was a little irritated at the immediate rush to defend Mahomes. Not that Mahomes should not have been defended. I totally agree with you. He was just fine. He was his normal great self. But everyone was rightly quick to point out that his players let him down. But when it's Justin Fields, and I know you can say, well, he hasn't proven anything yet. It's certainly not nearly to what Mahomes has proven already.
No one has.
But yeah, exactly. Fields could have a great career and not even match what Mahomes has already done. But when the same thing happens, and it could be any other quarterback too, it's well, he couldn't make the big play when it happened, or oh yeah, he just tucks and runs when you know. And how many times did Mahomes tuck it and run it last night? Several. You know,
it's weird how the narrative takes a life of its own. I think that's the big takeaway.
Exactly.
We need to all, as fans, stop it with these stupid narratives. Analyze the game in front of you with the tape in front of you. If you happen to get the all 22 or watch the guys who do, great. But if that was Josh Allen and his receivers did that, it would be fair to be like, that game is not on Josh Allen.
Correct.
If it was Justin Fields, same. If it's Jimmy Garoppolo, if it's,
correct,
I don't know, the worst quarterback in the league, or an unproven rookie like Sam Howell now in year 2, right? If his receivers have a game that bad, just like it's fair to be like, well, it wasn't Mahomes' fault. We should be able to analyze the quarterback for the quarterback's play and not the stats only and not the win or lose only. And I guess, man, this is a fun game for this pod. I guess the Chiefs didn't learn how to win last year either. Stupid nonsense.
That's correct.
Like, this game was great for like murdering bad narratives.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. How come their Super Bowl win didn't carry over into this year, week 1?
So
there's no excuse for that.
Yeah. How dare they? But I am with former players like Olin Kreutz, who's like, I don't care about 0-8 against the Packers. It's a new season. Wipe all that stuff. No player should be thinking about it. Like, I 100% agree.
Well, I want to get into some of that once we get into the Bears-Packers, because there's a lot of dumb superstition being thrown around, and when you get down to it, it's just superstition.
Yeah, and it's a sloppy understanding of like how we would use history in a meaningful way to just be like, well, they're 0-8.
Yeah, as a historian, you probably have some thoughts on that.
Yeah, sometime. We probably don't have time today, but
can I read you a tweet from Patrick Sheldon? This is in relation to last night, at P_Shells, 1L. Well, I think last night we answered the age-old question. Would Patrick Mahomes still be Patrick Mahomes if the Bears drafted him in 2017? It appears questionable play calling and a lack of weapons at the skill positions has a direct impact on the level of QB play.
I'm writing this down. This is good stuff.
Yeah, agree or disagree?
Agree. Yeah. I mean, I think he would be better than Mitch ever was.
Correct.
No matter where he is. Is he the Chiefs' Patrick Mahomes if the Bears draft him? I don't know. Is he the best QB in Bears history, though? Yes. You know what I mean? Like, would he look a lot like he looked last night? Probably a bit more than he did with the Chiefs in the last 5 years. Sure.
Last night would have been a great microcosm.
This is really just saying a really important thing we say a lot. Quarterbacks aren't developed in a vacuum. It's not a linear progression, and they are dependent, just like a consummate team sport. All the positions are dependent on what's around them. So in a scenario where the Bears decide to move on from Justin Fields this year, which I don't want, at least they have a receiver and hopefully a bookend right tackle, right? Like, hopefully if they had to do that in the draft, they would be putting that QB in a better situation than they put Fields, which is why it's so maddening. If you go back to the ill-fated post-season meeting or press conference, it's why it's so stupid to keep lame duck GMs and coaches, because he didn't sync up the timeline.
Right.
But that's a topic for hopefully never, actually. But Mahomes went to the best situation a young QB could have. And he's earned every bit of the praise. And he didn't do anything last night to cost him in that game. And one last rant about that game. This is why I hate the interceptions as the way they are tabulated. That was like 0% Patrick Mahomes interception. Sometimes they're 50-50. Yes, sometimes they're all QB. That was 100% the receiver, and there's nowhere in a box score that it shows that. And at the end of the year, and Mahomes has, let's just pretend he throws the most interceptions he's ever thrown because his receivers suck. That one's going to be in the box score. And no one's going to be like, wow, 17 interceptions for Mahomes. And be like, well, actually, the one for Tony, like, we're all going to have forgotten. And it's not going to be part of the story. And it's just sloppy and lazy the way we do this. It's like pitcher wins.
Yeah, I could not agree more. That was a perfect throw. Good play by I forget who it was on the Lions, but to adjust his body and grab
Brian Branch, the rookie.
Nice. Yeah. I have one last thought on that game. Did some of those weird play calls look familiar by the Chiefs?
Oh, yeah.
I'm not an idiot.
Andy Reid is the guy in charge, but it looks like he's letting Nagy tinker. And you need to rein him in, Andy. Stop it now.
Matt Nagy.
I saw a tweet too that talked about how much they ask the running backs to do in some of those plays. Like the read is really weird. Like there's one where all the flow is all to the right, and that's basically where he's supposed to go, but they don't block it up.
Mm.
But there's this cutback lane the size of a semi, but no running back is going to be looking there
Yeah,
on that
right.
play. And they're like, the design's all wrong here. I'm like, yeah, it looks real
We've
familiar.
seen that. We saw that for 4 years on the lakefront, my friend.
So it's Reed's team and all, but it looks like he's letting Nagy have some of the influence. And Nagy's sitting there with this play chart
Yep.
going to break. I'm like, wait a minute.
His Waffle House menu in front of his
Yeah,
face.
it sure looked like he had some design influence. I know he's not calling them in the game, but I bet you he helped draw some of those up, and that's not a great thing for the Chiefs.
A great tweet from Adam Hogue last night. He said, Twitter, I don't understand these play calls. And then Bears Twitter, and he put the gif of Matt Nagy walking on the sideline winking. It's like, yep,
Exactly.
pretty much. We know what's happening. We've seen
Yep.
it.
Yeah. So pretty
All right,
entertaining
anyway.
game,
Yes.
all in all.
Congrats, Lions and Coach Campbell. You
Dude,
kicked him
they
in
went
the
into
teeth.
Lambeau last year at the end of the year and beat Rodgers to knock him out of the playoff contention, and they go in and beat the champs on the road the first game this year. Dan Campbell started as a meme, and he's a national treasure now, buddy.
Yes, sir.
I
Agreed.
love Dan Campbell, and I want a Dan Campbell playoff game. If the Bears aren't going to win the division, bring on the Lions as the North rep.
We're going to kick you in the teeth.
I wonder if this was what it was like for the rest of the country when Ditka first came to the Bears, and kind of his outrageousness and attitude just kind of captured.
Is it a tight end thing?
Maybe, maybe, but just that same brash, swagger and in your face.
And Dan Campbell's still jacked out of his mind too.
Yeah.
Like
he had a great halftime interview with Melissa Stark.
that was fun.
That's how you do it. Yes, be honest. Don't just we gotta block better, and we gotta
This
try to
is
get in the end zone.
the Cold War, and you're a Russian spy, so I can't say a word. It's like they take it so seriously.
Exactly. Yeah. All right, let's put a bow on that. And what do you want?
And of course, needless to say, we both picked the Lions in our
of course,
our pregame picks on.
Absolutely, we just
today.
didn't get a chance to share it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. I believe you had the exact same score.
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
The devil is a liar.
Maybe not. All right.
No,
well, we're actually here to talk Bears Packers naturally.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm excited for the game. I think I might have analysis fatigue on a certain level, like listening to stuff. Because, man, it's just like there's so much you can consume before week 1.
Yeah.
Right? You're like consuming nothing but predictions and, I don't know, camp visits and podcasts from guys who have been at training camp in August. And this guy here went to 3 preseason games. And this announcer over there has been to 30 camps. And you're just like, can we just play already?
Yeah.
But I think this is a weird game to me.
Okay. Go on.
We don't know anything about the Packers QB for the first time in like 30 years. Well, actually, we didn't know about Rodgers early on, but it was pretty clear pretty quick.
Yeah, but
right? So like the Bears, I hate that we're starting with the Packers.
I know.
I want a nice ease into the season. So, okay, we lost week 1 to a good team. And Green Bay might suck and they still might win, and then I'll be distraught.
Yeah. Yeah, just because of where this game lands. I agree. I get it. I understand. But it's PTSD.
It is. It has no bearing on what's actually going to happen Sunday.
Right. And it's not based on the realistic, how do I say this? Like, the Packers are not going to be a good team this year. Even if Jordan Love is good, which maybe
we really don't have any idea.
Well,
I said that a few weeks ago. I think Bears fans are jumping the gun calling him terrible.
Yes.
But I certainly don't think it's a shoo-in that he's a 3rd straight Hall of Fame QB for him.
That's never happened. So can't we just assume that he's not going to be, because the mathematical
I think the odds are if he was, they would have seen it in camp before they ever extended Rodgers, even though he won MVP, and you really don't trade the MVP. It's like a really weird situation.
It is, yeah. And it was with Favre, too.
He had a good preseason. We know how much that matters.
Right. Justin Fields had a great preseason last year. Just remember. So.
And didn't really have a good season passing, if we're honest. But a lot of that is the talent around him. But anyway, this is the first time in like our lifetimes, practically, where you go into the game and you're like, the Bears should have the QB advantage.
They should.
Versus the Packers. But it's a weird game because what Green Bay is doing, and I'm sorry if it sounds like it's all about Green Bay, but I feel like they're the really weird story here.
They're the bigger
It's so
unknown. Yeah.
strange. Second year receivers are his main targets. Two rookie tight ends, really established running back, really established line, and a quarterback making his second start with under 120 snaps taken in the NFL.
On the road.
Can you remember a team that did this with a QB with this little experience and his main playmakers being this inexperienced in the passing game? Two rookie tight ends, two
No.
second-year receivers.
And they both might be out too. That's another.
Yeah,
one.
that's another factor we'll
Mhm.
get to in a second as well. So it's like I'm saying, even if they're totally healthy, like how can you predict what Green Bay is going to be?
Yeah, that's
They're
true.
like as interesting and mysterious a team in that sense as any in the league. Then you have a whole bunch of teams that are like the Bears, where you say, okay, they had a bad year. They look much improved on paper. They've added at key spots on the roster. Are they good enough to contend yet? Probably not, but this should be more interesting than they were last year, like the Bears. I would say the Falcons fit that. Right. There's
Yeah.
a few teams that are kind of in that. And then there's a few that like made big changes that launched them to contention, like say the Jets. But so Fields is the ultimate wild card for the Bears. But I think really for Green Bay, it's like their whole passing game is totally inexperienced, basically.
Yeah. Is this a good time to bring up Max's tweet? Our buddy Max.
Sure. And we'll do the injury report and make our picks
Sounds
and
good.
stuff.
All right, our
So,
buddy Max Markham.
Speaking of
NFL.
the talent around Fields, right?
Correct. Yeah, the talent around him. This is our buddy Max Markham NFL on Twitter, who's been on a show. He's been a guest on the show 3 times, I believe. 3 of our
Running
highest
away
rated
with
shows.
the barely educated guest record.
Yes, he is. He put together a list of the 2022 Bears starters. Where are they now? Okay, so I'll just go through this quickly. Okay, linebacker Nick Morrow, 17 starts last year. He is now on the Eagles practice squad.
I'm going to
Not
add a
even on the
game
roster.
to this. Do I
Okay.
remember him until you mentioned his name? That's the other thing we're going to do.
Okay,
No,
all
I
right.
forgot
That
all about
sounds
Nicholas
good.
Morrow.
Yeah.
Continue.
All right, Sam Mustipher, 17 games, 16 starts.
Well,
Now-
of course, I haven't forgotten about the dancing
Right.
bear.
Or Max Rustifer, yeah. He is now on the Ravens practice squad.
Okay, so I'm going
So-
to also keep track of practice squads and
Okay.
starters. Okay, so that's 2 practice squatters.
Okay. Al Kadim Muhammad, 16 games, 9 starts, is now on the Colts practice squad.
Forgot all about him. 9
Yep.
starts.
9 starts.
3 practice squatters. Okay.
Joe Thomas, linebacker, 15 games, 9 starts, free agent. So he's not even on a team.
He started 9 times too?
Yeah.
You
According
just
to
making that
Max.
name up. Joe Thomas?
It's Max, my friend. He wouldn't lie to
All
me.
right, so we're going to say not active roster now because we've got a new category I don't feel like keeping track of. So these
Okay.
are 4 guys aren't even really on a team yet.
Yeah. Offensive line, Michael Schofield, 11 games, 4 starts, free agent.
5.
Defensive
I remember
line,
him.
Robert Quinn, 7 games, 7 starts, free agent. I didn't even
Okay.
realize that.
Obviously, I remember Robert Quinn. Are we like on like retirement territory here? How is he not on a team?
I
You
don't
would figure
know.
just as a third down guy,
Yeah.
somebody would want him. He was that
Yeah.
bad for the Eagles.
Yeah.
That's okay. We're only ever going to talk about the Claypool trade.
Yeah, exactly. DeAndre
That's
Houston
6.
Carson, 17 games, 6 starts, free agent.
Bring him on for special teams if it's a problem. That surprises me just because he's such a good gunner.
Yeah, and this tweet
7.
is a few days old now, so maybe some of these are a little
Yeah, it's
different,
true.
but
And we should note we're doing this Friday at noon. But
correct, yeah. Riley Reef, 16 games, 10 starts, Patriots second string and on IR.
we
So
got
he-
we're on IR. I was going to celebrate being on a roster.
Yeah.
What a crappy team. Last year was so bad.
Mike Pennell, Pennel. I don't know this guy. 17 games, 2 starts, free agent. He was a
Again, I
defensive
only remember
lineman.
them once you say their name. That would definitely
Yeah.
be a non-remembered. I don't even know how many we're up to. Is that 8 or 9?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
How do we
6,
count the
7,
IR?
8, 9.
How about this? Will they have a chance of seeing the field Sunday? We're 0 for
Okay.
9. That's what we're going to do.
Overnight. Yes, okay. Armon Watts, 17 games, 12 starts. He's a Steelers third stringer now. Defensive tech. Third stringer.
Okay, I'm going to say for a goal line situation, he might get in there.
Okay. So there's
That's
1
one.
out of 10, right? All right, defensive end Travis Gibson, 17 games, 10 starts, Titans backup. Titans
Only
second string.
loss I miss out of the preseason. I think he's a good player. I think the scheme fit is a valid reason to move on, and it's nice of them to let him go. He'll definitely play Sunday.
D-line Angelo Blackson, 15 games, 4 starts, Jaguars second string.
Okay, I guess we'll say the same thing. Special teams and goal line maybe. Rotational. That's 3. Not a single starter yet.
Okay, apparently there was a linebacker named Matthew Adams on the Bears last year who played 10 games with 3 starts.
Wait, we had a Matt Adams and a Sam Adams?
He says Matthew Adams.
Wait, Matt Adams is the guy that got the DUI or got arrested in the summer. I remember he was mad, like, because there was character concerns with people polls signed.
He's
not a great reason to be remembered.
Yeah, Brown's second string.
Wow, they must be bad at linebacker.
Yep. And then Byron Pringle, wide receiver, 11 games, 4 starts, Commanders second string.
But I was told Byron Pringle was going to blow up for the Bears. How did this happen?
Yeah.
So, like, remember the last year it was like there were the two extremes and they were both ridiculous about Poles' moves. And the people on Bears Twitter, like, getting mad at people like me for being like, this roster stinks. These guys aren't any good. And Brian Pringle was like the champion of these guys are going to get their opportunity with the Bears and be great.
Nope.
Yeah. So not a single starter.
Yep. And then he had one more late admission. Kindle Vildor is a Titans third stringer.
Hard to say if he'll play. Third string at corner, probably a little bit. Maybe.
Yep.
I don't know. Is that third string like first off the bench third string or third string nickel? So he's like ninth. You know what I mean?
Good question. Yeah.
So by and large, it's a giant poo-poo platter.
13, 14, 15 guys here, Max listed. None of them are starters on another team.
And maybe 5 or 6 will actually see a snap Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
And most of those are probably on special teams.
Yeah.
What in the blue was that?
So that's
every one of them, I would say, has been replaced by a much more capable NFL player.
Yes. Ryan Poles did a nice job beefing up the roster a little bit to where it should be more than a 3-win team.
They brought the floor up. I don't really think the ceiling improved that much until I see a pass rush and they stop the run.
I think that's a great way to put it. Yeah. The floor is higher. The ceiling, maybe not. That's a good one. I like that.
Or, it may be a little higher, but not as much higher as the floor is.
Yeah. Good.
Which, that's a start, I guess.
It is.
I don't know. I'd rather build slow and have it be sustainable than the other way around. But I do think we shouldn't settle for like a 5-win season. We should be ticked and wonder what's going on with the coaches or something there. Okay. But I'm not trying to say he should be fired. I'm just saying if they win 5 games, I'd entertain it.
Okay, so what do you think? Should we do our season prediction then? We didn't do that last time.
Yeah, we did the division, but we didn't give a win total. This over-under is 7.5, right? Isn't that the Vegas line?
Oh, okay. I did not know that, but
I'll say they win 8.
That's fine.
The schedule's kind of soft.
Mm-hmm. I was telling my cousin Adam. I have a cousin too. Cousin Nate. Yes. We were texting the other day. I think somewhere between 7 and 10 and 9 and 8 is where the Bears are going to land.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. And I'll just say 8 just to pick a number, which I would love for them to be over 500, but a 5-win jump would be nice and pretty significant.
All right, so you say 8 and 9. I'll go 9 and 8 then. How's that?
Sure. That sounds about like the personality of the show.
It does, my friend.
The Bears.
So yeah, that's where I'm at with it. What about? I guess let's do playoffs and Super Bowl because we didn't ever finish that.
Mm-hmm.
You said you wrote it down.
I did. What do you want to know?
I got Who's my 1 seed?
Oh, we didn't do seeds.
I don't know. Just playing. Let's just do a Super Bowl pick because we don't have to go through the whole playoffs. That's too specific. Oh man, this is difficult because anytime in the NFL, if you go too much chalk, you can just assume you're going to be dead wrong. Right? It's like picking all the 1 seeds in basketball. Only like once every 20 years does it even remotely all of them get that far or whatever. But I have a hard time with the AFC because it's just stacked.
Yeah.
I mean, really, really stacked. I'm going to pick the team that I consider to be the healthiest right now with all its pieces in place out of those top 4-ish AFC teams.
Okay.
Since Carson Palmer's back, I'll take Joe Burrow and the Bengals.
Shut up. Okay, Bengals.
I'll say, because is Kelsey's knee going to linger? How long is Chris Jones going to be gone? When's Von Miller coming back? Are the Jags really ready to the Super Bowl? No. So I almost default to the Bengals based on all those factors. The
Yep.
Jets would be kind of fun for the story, even though I don't really want Rodgers to get a ring. The defense is super good. So they're like a real force defensively. If Rodgers gives them anything, they're pretty darn good. But I still go Bengals or Chiefs, and I'll take Bengals because of the Chiefs situations that we all saw last night.
Okay.
And I'll say that they are going to face, you know, who I want to pick, but I just can't pull the trigger because I don't trust the offense enough or the head coach.
Lions.
If they had a real head coach, I'd be tempted to pick the Cowboys, who I don't even like whatsoever.
Oh,
I love their defense.
yeah.
And we did the whole thing a while back about how the defensive rankings translate better in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Remember that? It was like your thing, like I don't know, this time last year or
It did,
something.
yeah. 9 of the 10, I think it was.
Yeah, of
Top
the
defenses.
best. Yep. But those are also historically good ones. I don't know if they're there. And then you're kind of left like, okay, Eagles, Niners. It's like the usual suspects in the NFC. Like, is there really a surprise team coming out of the NFC? And I'm just gonna hold my nose and say they stay healthy and that Purdy's just good enough, even though I don't know what to think of him yet, and pick the Niners.
Okay.
And I'll say that Boomer Esiason gets his revenge game.
Finally. 30 years
Yeah.
later, almost. Yeah.
Won't he be fun on the
35
score
years
if the
later.
Bengals win the Super Bowl?
Oh, yes. All right. So you got Bengals over the Niners.
Throwing it out there. Not a whole
I'm,
lot of data backing it up.
I also have the Bengals going to the Super Bowl, but I have
Okay.
them losing to the Eagles.
I mean, the Eagles were the other obvious choice in the NFC,
Yep.
and they're really good, perfectly reasonable. I feel like they might slow down just a little because of age in some key spots, but certainly legitimate contenders, obviously.
Yep. Of course, if the Bears win Sunday, I'm going to change that to the Bears winning the Super Bowl, my friend.
That's right.
Bears.
Okay, so back to the Bears Packers then the matchup.
All right. Let's do this.
Give me three things you think favor the Bears and three that favor the Packers. I can go first if you want. I forgot to tell you I wanted to do this.
Okay. Okay. I was like, oh boy. Oh, all right. Yeah, you go.
I'll go first.
Again. Okay.
Three things that favor the Bears. Number one is the most important. I still believe until demonstrated otherwise, they have the more dynamic playmaker at quarterback.
Mhm.
Second thing that favors the Bears, they have much better playmakers in the passing game. Which brings me to a quick point. Looking at the injury report, Thursday, Jaquan Brisker, full practice. Nate Davis, strange situation still. More on that after we finish this. Full practice, Eddie Jackson. Full practice, DeMarcus Walker. So all the starters that were out, limited, I mean, on Wednesday, practiced in full yesterday. Obviously, we don't know yet for today. Packers, Bakhtiari, 2 did not practices. But he's probably going to do that every week and then play, right?
Probably. That's
Romeo Dobbs didn't practice Wednesday, limited Thursday. I would assume that means he's on track to play. Here's the juicy one, though, as a Bears fan. Christian Watson did not practice either day. That's their big
huge.
playmaker.
Yep.
The Bears got Mooney, Claypool, both more accomplished than Watson, and I didn't even bring up DJ Moore yet, right? Like, I'm not saying Watson's wide receiver 4 on the Bears. I have no idea, but I'm just like,
Sure.
That's a big advantage for the Bears.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think the Bears have that I don't know. I don't know how much the players buy into it, but like they're at home. They want to turn the page on the rivalry. I know that like guys like Fields are never going to give lip service to it in a way that puts, bulletin board material, right? But I think the Bears have this chip on their shoulder a little bigger than the Packers at this point. And I wonder if that gives them anything at all. I never know how to rate that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a better secondary if you want to be more like football wise. If I take off the chip on the shoulder because I can't rate it, I'll say my third one is they do have a better secondary. Jair Alexander is the best player in either secondary, but he's just one guy.
Yeah. Well, secondary was the first thing I wrote down that favors the Bears. That back 5, I guess, if you count the nickel. Actually, the back 7, if you count the linebackers too. The Bears.
I kind of wonder
7,
if we always say front 7 in football. I wonder if it's like we should flip it with how much the league is about passing.
Yeah, I think the Bears back 7 is going to be great. I'm worried about the front 4.
Yeah, same here. So yeah.
The Packers could win the game just by committing to the run regularly,
Yep, that's the Bears'
So
big concern.
yeah. So I think what they have to do is put everything into stopping the run, keep healthy Brisker up in the box, put 8 guys in the box, stop the run, make Jordan Love beat you.
Well, Dobbs is a
You
possession
know?
guy, and if he's playing, you're going to obviously pay attention to him. And if Watson's out, they don't have a guy that you're like, oh, he's going to kill us deep.
Right.
So you better be loading up the box.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Fields is also one of the things I wrote down, just because, like you said, he's the best playmaker on the field. I do want to see him able to connect downfield more.
Absolutely.
I know there's still, I was just hearing this morning, there's still concerns that he's not reading quick enough or getting rid of the ball quick enough, and that he probably just never will. And honestly, I'm okay with that if he's connecting deep downfield, but
I think, yeah, we need to talk more about him for sure. But give me your other. So that's
that's
secondary,
two. Yeah, and then
Fields. We
Fields.
will come back to Fields for sure.
I don't have a third one yet. Maybe here,
I know
I'll
it's
go
kind
with,
of tricky coming up with one.
yeah. I'll go with DJ Moore against
Yeah.
the Packers secondary. Even though, like you
He
said,
pasted
Jair
Alexander
Alexander,
several times over the
yeah.
years. Like he's had good games against him.
I think he's going to make
The
the
big
whole offense
disadvantages
better.
are, I don't know if we need to even do three. It's just both lines of scrimmage.
Yeah,
And then I'm
tackles
like, man, it's
especially.
kind of crazy picking the team that's worse up front on both sides of the ball to win the game. Like that seems counterintuitive on a certain level. But that's how weird the Packers are.
Right.
It
Yeah.
also helps the Bears' cause that Rashawn Gary is going to be on a pitch count.
Yes, true.
Okay, let's cycle back to Fields then. I was talking to cousin Nate,
Yes, because
and I made the point that, and we had both ended up looking it up later, so I'll get the right number this time. Fields completed like 60% of his passes last year. Not good. It's pretty bad. But you would have a significant jump in yards if he can just raise it by 5%.
absolutely.
Does DJ Moore allow that via balls that DJ will catch that others can't? And putting the pecking order in place to where Mooney's open more, for example.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a good way to kind of frame in a snapshot what we want to see from Fields in a stat. And on reading the Field thing, there was a big athletic article about Fields and like the reads. And he sat down with Johns, and so did Getsy, and I think one of the receivers, maybe Mooney, somebody. He talked to a bunch of people. It was really good. And I think it was Getsy in the article who made the point, like sometimes people will see something and they think, oh, he should throw it there, but it's never part of his progression. And we actually saw that last night with the Lions game, where Amon-Ra St. Brown is actually just clearing out the safety, but he ends up wide open. But Goff goes to the normal first down throw anyway, because he never gets to that to Amon-Ra St. Brown. And and Goff is a pretty solid player, had a really good year. Would have been the best year Bears QB's ever had, right?
Yeah.
29 TDs, 4,400 yards.
Yeah.
Come on.
Mm-hmm.
But that's kind of what separates the great ones, though. They can make a huge play off script because they can see it quick, right? Like, hey, he's not supposed to be in my read, but they screwed this up and he's wide open.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it's so much that Justin's not intelligent enough to read it or too slow or something. I think he's been too much of a football robot. Which scares me because I think that was Mitch's biggest flaw, although there are way more flaws for Mitch than Justin. But like he when he's running, he's no longer a football robot, but when he's in the pocket, he's like so rigid and tense and he's trying to do the exact right thing. It's like, man, just play ball. Your arm talent's good, your leg talent's amazing. I think he's overthinking it, not capable of thinking. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
Like I wanted to be a little more free and fluid in the pocket like he is when he's running. And maybe that's asking too much. But I think if we can do those two things, increase the completion percentage and not be so robotic in the pocket, that might help the processing and all the things that kind of get phrased as slow processing. I don't know if it's slow processing so much as he's just not willing to do anything off script in the pocket. And then once it breaks down, he's like Mr. Amazing off script runner. So what I want to see him do, because I think all the whole like, is he processing? Is he going through his progressions right? It's too hard to say without being a part of that offense and what the structure of the offense is asking him to do. We don't really know it, and it's kind of knee jerk to be like, oh, he's wide open and he missed him. But yeah, but what if it wasn't in his progressions? But I really want is for him to look as comfortable in the pocket as he does on the run, because he'd be dynamic at that point. And I want to see him pre-snap figure things out, and I want them to give him that latitude. because that play against the Bills still kills me where Mooney's matched up with a linebacker. They need to have a hot read. This is Madden football, okay? I was doing this when I was 16, right? Like, call the audible, throw the fly to Mooney. He's covered by a linebacker, and the safety's over on the side of DJ Moore. You've got time. That needs to be a total change of whatever's going on if you get a matchup like that.
And maybe that
And maybe
happens.
they will, and they just weren't going to show it in the preseason. But that's got to be something that they do better, and that makes life easier. But I think so. Pre-snap, I want to see some of that.
Okay. Yeah, I was just going to say that maybe in that preseason game, they were specifically trying to do something that did not involve, looking to make the hot read like that or a read like that.
Yeah,
Because
and like I
Buffalo,
said, I think the week after, I was like, maybe they were like, don't throw it if you get these matchups. We're not working on that today. We don't want
right,
to put it on
right.
tape or something.
Because Buffalo was doing some real defensive coverage stuff. They weren't just doing the
Yeah,
vanilla
he's a
preseason
try-hard
stuff.
preseason coach.
He is.
I
Yeah.
think over the last 3 years, we can definitively say this.
You know.
A couple other things I think I'd like to see him do better that I think are there's a couple stuff things that like you worry that the Bears have broke him where he bails on a clean pocket. Oh, that drives me nuts.
Yeah.
It's like the
Yeah.
shell shock. But
Mhm.
like hang in there and deliver the ball. I want to get that habit back. I don't care if he throws interceptions if he's aggressive. Shades of last night. I think it's the most overrated stat in football. A strip
Mm.
sack will usually get the other team the ball further upfield anyway,
Much closer.
other than
Right?
obviously a big return.
Mhm.
And not all interceptions are created equal, right? So like if he
Right.
throws a
Right.
40-yard bomb and it's tipped and picked, okay, it was a punt.
Right. Yeah.
But if he's gun shy, you can't move the ball.
Mhm.
Let it rip, man. Please just let it rip. Don't coach aggression out of him, which they've done with every young QB they've ever had in this franchise.
Yeah. Hopefully Getsy won't be doing that with Justin. I don't think so. It seems like
Last year was so weird, it's hard to say. Like they
exactly.
turtle up
Yeah.
in the red zone a lot. I want to see Getsy be better. I'm not
My
giving him some free pass now that he has weapons.
Here's a couple thoughts I have, and I think they're both pro Bears and pro Packers to an extent here. Let me know what you think.
Oh, that's different.
Is that...
Who are you and where's
All right,
Chris?
let me start with this. Jordan Love could suck Sunday, and he could still end up being a good quarterback.
Sure.
Justin Fields can suck Sunday, and it's far more concerning, right? Agreed?
Yes. Big time historical data there. Like
Yes.
usually they start to ball out the first month of their third year if they haven't already. Nobody's ever been great who it took any longer than that. So he needs to show it pretty quickly at the start of the season. He really does.
So yeah, all that to say that Justin Fields having a bad game is far more indicative of the Bears' future than if Jordan Love has a bad game for the Packers.
Sadly, yes.
So just a little, Bears fans, we got to be careful not to overreact if Love doesn't look good and the Bears win the game. Does that mean that I will keep that in mind if the Bears win? Absolutely not.
Oh, not for a day at least.
I will be meatballing like crazy. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yeah. I'm going to be meatballing like crazy anyway because it's the stupid Packers and all the potential symbolic value of a win here and exercising the bad man over to New York. And if they lose, it's going to be tough to not be irritated. I'm not ready to lose 11 in a row.
My next point, though, is related to that. If the Bears lose Sunday, that is not in and of itself a referendum on Justin Fields or the Bears rebuilding process. They could still lose this game. And I feel like I have to mention that because people are so like freaking out and stressed. The radio guys have even been talking about how they're like so worried and stressed out about Sunday's game because of just the symbolism of Fields and Love, Bears and Packers, the 30 years of, them having the Hall of Fame quarterback play and flipping the narrative of the rivalry.
Mm-hmm.
But it has nothing to do with that. And I've seen some Packer fans on social media, and one even addressed to me, saying that, oh, you're going to be so mad when Love is good or when he proves to be great. He's going to be the third. There's absolutely no reason for them to assume that, but I think it's kind of a protective defense mechanism at this point. for them.
They don't know what it's like to even be
Yep.
average at quarterback, a whole generation of them.
Right. I think it's fear and it's coming out as like overconfident. But anyway.
And I'm sorry, their roster is not ready to win.
And
their lines are ready to win. The rest of that roster is like definitely in a rebuild without fully rebuilding.
Yep.
I'm just saying it's really like no one's tried to. I can't remember any team with a QB with this many or this few reps with this inexperienced pass catching core. Like it's a pretty wild thing, and it might pay dividends in a year or two, but I got to think it matters at least early.
Yeah.
So the other thing we should probably talk about when we brought up Fields, just to get it out there, two things. First of all, if it is that the worst thing that can happen this season is you in the season and you still don't know what to do with Fields. I want an answer more than anything. I'm like practically president of his fan club, right? I want him to kick butt. But if he doesn't, this is the year you can do something about it. You can't go into next year not knowing you don't have 2 firsts next year. And you can't go into next year thinking, well, we'll pick in the top 10 again. No, you're all fired. You haven't even had a competent season in 3 years at that point. You know what I mean? Like, you need to know now because you need to know what you need to do with those 2 firsts. And the Carolina one could be very high. That's good news and bad news, right? Like, they have the opportunity if they need it. I hope they don't need it.
And I don't think they will. I really like.
I don't either. I still believe in Fields, but I'm just throwing out the fact that the stakes are high for this year because of that boon coming up.
Even after his first 2 years with these question marks, he's still the best quarterback the Bears have ever drafted in my lifetime, talent-wise.
Talent-wise, definitely. Yeah. The next thing is, and this is a part of the radio conversation I was talking to Cousin Nate about since you dropped cousin twice.
There it is again.
I will too. What was driving him nuts was comments with the morning show that they were, I think it was a caller, somebody mentioned like he'd rather the Bears lose and Fields have a really good game than the Bears win an ugly game and Fields be bad. And they're like, no, you got to win, dude. I'll take the loss with a great Fields game because I'm talking about the route to a championship.
Correct.
And that means with the quarterback's got to be really good. And if the quarterback's really good, but the defense still stinks some, I'm happier than if they win a bunch of ugly games and I know I don't have the quarterback.
Did these guys not learn anything?
Long-term here, not Sunday.
Did they not learn anything from last season?
Over 30 years? No.
No, just from
How
last
about
season.
over 30 years
Look
of
at
it?
that. Oh, we need to learn to win. The Bears need to learn to win. Justin Fields needs to learn to win. And they didn't, quote unquote, learn to win. And look at the haul they got out of that. Look how much better the roster is now because of that.
Yes.
Oh, that just irritates.
Which is why they'll win more. That's how they will win more.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But learning to win doesn't mean anything. That's the kind of cliched nonsense in football that drives me crazy.
Is it just Chicago that has these boneheaded writers, or is it every town?
I don't know. I'm so exhausted keeping up with the Bears that I can't bring myself to follow any other teams closely. I've always wanted to know. Like, if I just tuned into the local Nashville radio every day instead, would it be this meatball-y, or are we just prone to it?
Yeah. It's the score after.
Right, there's a reason we're the Saturday Night Live bit.
Right,
That's kind of what I'm trying to figure out.
The Bears.
Yeah.
But the Hurricane's name was Hurricane Ditka.
Hurricane Ditka, my friend.
And then that just feeds the narrative more.
Mm-hmm.
You know, yeah. So it's a great question. I can't bring myself to ever figure it out. Maybe former student Tim or someone could tell us.
Yes,
but see, he's also a Steelers fan, but they don't ever suck.
It's true.
We need a properly crappy franchise as our comparison here.
That's what I want to get to. I want the Bears to just never suck. Win a title once every 10 years or so. You know, come on. Why is that so hard?
Have a coach who just is awesome and hilarious and can kick your butt if he has to and has a couple funny post-game comments and just be awesome at several important positions no matter what year it is. Like the Steelers always have a pass rush. They always have receivers.
Yeah.
And pretty much QBs too, but we'll see how that goes now. But yeah, it would be cool to just be sustained like that well.
Yeah. We do linebackers and running backs well. But that's about it.
This is why I didn't want the big linebacker splash. But you got 2. You won that one.
Well, I wasn't
Although
trying
you
to
could
win
say
that
a
one.
good cover linebacker is actually a really big deal. It is
It
not
is. In
invaluable position because it's not about the run anymore.
in
It's
this
about covering the tight
defense,
end,
that's right. In this
and
defense,
especially in this defense.
absolutely. Absolutely. And I wouldn't be
Yeah,
surprised
should
if
we be talking more about him? There's a lot of buzz about DJ Moore, the other big acquisition, Tremaine Edmonds, hasn't
mhm,
got as much buzz. Maybe because he only played 3 reps in the preseason and he looked
yeah.
awfully rusty.
Yeah.
But he's
Yeah.
a big part of their plan.
Yes, he is. And I wouldn't be surprised if he's worked into some pass rush blitzes this week just to try to generate some kind of pressure. Because with those 5 defensive backs, you're pretty good in the secondary. You know, you can spare it or rush a linebacker up there every once in a while. And he
Yeah,
seems like
and
the
I mean
most
the other
likely
kind of funny
candidate.
thing about this, yeah, yeah, probably. The other funny thing about this game is both teams' strategies seems like it should be so absurdly obvious to load up against the run.
Yeah.
Right? The Bears need to load up against the run because that's what Green Bay's good at. And we have
Mhm.
no idea what their passing game is, and they might have receivers hurt on top of it. Like I'd make Love prove it many
Mhm.
times before I'd backed off of stopping Aaron Jones.
Mhm.
And the Packers need to load up on the run because we know that the Bears were awesome at it last year, and Fields is awesome at it.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
yeah, if I'm LaFleur, I'm gonna say, okay, well, I'm gonna dare him to beat me with my arm. I hate saying that because it's shades of the Trubisky thing, but it's still true for now. I think
Yeah.
there's way better arm talent in Justin's arm, but he's still got to show it. So like both teams are going to have the exact same approach defensively in a certain sense, I think.
Mm.
Do you think Jair Alexander will shadow DJ Moore? Follow
Yes.
him.
Yes, I do. Yes, I
So
do.
would you play him sometimes in the slot to try to mess that up?
Everywhere. Everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere.
And then that's going to theoretically give you Mooney and Komet open, hopefully Claypool. Yeah. I think that
See, I
opens
could
up.
see DJ Decoy, even though it's kind of a bummer for the first game. I mean, he'll still have some targets, but I could see the big game coming out of the receiver room being Mooney.
Yeah.
He finally gets to not be the focal point as the receiver. Because even the year with A-Rob was like, A-Rob was like 50% A-Rob or something. So, all right, your pick, sir.
I'm going Bears. I'm
What
going
a shock.
27-23.
The Bears.
Okay, you got more points than I do. I'm not going to pick the Packers. I just can't do it. I'm going to go Bears 23-16.
Bears.
But I'm
23
also
to
projecting
16.
Watson to be out with a hamstring injury and 2 did not practices. That doesn't sound like someone who's going to play.
Right.
And that's a big blow for them.
All right. So we will live stream after the game. Yes, like 4 o'clock ish. Does that sound good?
I believe so. I'll have
Sorry,
to check
not
with
4.
the boss.
7 o'clock ish. 7 o'clock.
Oh yeah, no, it'd be more like 7. Yeah.
Yeah.
Should we push it just to where the kids are already in bed though?
Sure. Well,
Let's do like, I don't know. I'll get back to you. It'll either
All
be
right.
7-ish or 9-ish.
yeah. So we will let you know, dear listeners. All right. Thanks so much for listening. Find us on Twitter at @bearlyeducatedpod. That is also our Twitch handle for the live stream afterwards, and our YouTube channel as well. Shoot us an email, bearlyeducatedpod@gmail.com. We will talk to you later. Go Bears.
More arrogance by Matt Nagy.
You are reckless.
I'm not an idiot.
That does not satisfy my logic circuits.
My Chicago Bears.
I love the Bears.